Rant and Rave Part 4. What am I going to rant about today? It's all about rave. What am I going to rave about today? Well, there's so much to talk about, this and that and this and this and that. Well, I don't know, maybe about rant and rave. Stay tuned. It's up next. Hello, everyone, and welcome to PWD Allies Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Brent Frayne. I'm the host, and I'm broadcasting from beautiful British Columbia, Canada, the capital region of BC. Joined with me today is Neil Matheson, my editor-producer in Surrey, British Columbia. Hello, Neil. Good morning.
Rootin' tootin' Newton.
Yeah, rootin' tootin' Newton, yeah. And I'm in the big capital. Yeah, it's not too far from the BC legislature, where they make all these decisions that affect people's lives. Do they overspend or do they not spend enough? Well, we'll definitely pile into all that today. It's all about ranting, raving part 4, and that's what we're going to talk
Yeah, and we're up to part 4 of it now. I think we did 2 of them last year, and we've already done 2 of them this year already.
Yeah.
And you know why we're doing it? You know why? It's because Sonia loves them. She's like, do another rant and rave.
Yeah.
But we have lots of people that I've got lots of comments from people that, oh wow, I really love those rant and rave ones, right? So
that's like
it again.
That's like that drop the mic, one of those drop the mic moments, right? And that's why it's boom, rant and rave. Well, first of all, when we start the show here, I want to thank everyone for tuning in as usual, and please like, subscribe, and share the content. It really helps our channel grow. I'm going to dive into one thing here about a government email that came in. It's about enhanced rental assistance programs for support for families and seniors. What about PWD? What about persons with disabilities? So this is the article I'm going to dive into here. So just as an overview, without reading the whole email, the government is expanding a program that's been in place for a long time, for decades. It's a rental assistance program. First of all, that program is for single mothers, single fathers who have children, and they're struggling to pay for the high cost of market rent. As we know, we're in a rental housing crisis, right? So the cost of living is skyrocket across our nation, and especially in BC, where the cost of living is really high compared to a lot of other provinces. You ask the government that, they'll, the economy is doing well and stuff like that. Well, evidently not, right? So that's why they want to take care of the rental assistance program, because they recognize that people are struggling in the rental assistance program part of it. So they want to enhance it. They want to increase it up a little bit. And so when I say increase it up a little bit, they say starting on April 1st of 2025, and as part of our budget 2025 rental assistance program and Safer, which I will talk about in just a moment, the programs have expanded eligibility criteria that will benefit more than 30,000 households in BC. Existing eligible recipients will also see an automatic increase. Automatic. They don't have to fight for it. They don't have to advocate for it. Automatic increase in their average benefits, providing them with more financial assistance to contribute towards rent. Wow. With that being said, these changes build on the improvements to Safer and the one-time RAP benefit introduced in April 2024. Now, seniors are vital to our communities, and they should receive the support they need to live comfortably, says Susie Chant, Parliamentary Secretary for Seniors. Yeah, and for service and for long-term care. This change to eligibility requirements offers much-needed relief for low-income seniors and families facing rising living costs. Well, golly, that's great. It's awesome for seniors too, and they recognize in the RAP. What about PWD who live in market housing and they're paying high market rent? Well, we're left out to dry. We're just throwing on the ringer and saying, hey, you know what? You make that friggin' choice. Hey, you can live in market housing. Hey, you want subsidized housing? Yeah, be homeless and then become on a waiting list, and you can get into that. Better not saying that in the email. Oh, no, no. So,
Yeah.
so with the breakdown here, so the improvements, before I get to the improvements, I'm going to talk about safer, so just so that people are following along. So I've talked about the RAP, Rental Assistance Program. Now the seniors one, that's the senior supplement. It's the same criteria as the rental assistance program. It's all as an umbrella off of BC Housing. So BC Housing, which is it's like the corporation that provides, it's like a corporation underneath the government who administers these programs to individuals that are suffering from having, the high cost of living, and, just to give them that financial relief for toward their rent. Because, as we know, rents are high. The dollar doesn't stretch that far these days, so every little bit helps. So now they get to have the benefit of paying a little bit less out of their pocket, and then they get the subsidy as a top up to basically pay their provider. And now, when I say their provider, they get to live in their own homes. They don't have to move. They can still live in their same address where they've lived for years. Maybe they like the community that they live in. So that's kind of how Safers works, right? What's the increase here has happened for the improvement to RAP first. It's categorized. So increasing the household income limit for eligibility from $40,000 to $60,000 before taxes. Mm-hmm. Well, that's good because
that sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good because my mom used to fight with the government decades ago about that the household threshold limit was not high enough. So that's why my brother had to move out. Either I had to move out or he had to move out. I stayed, had to stay, because my brother was working for himself as a small business. And so his income was too high based on my mom's income and my income as a PWD. But because I didn't qualify because I get the shelter portion, I was not eligible to basically get into low income housing because I was still living.
How convenient. Let's see.
Yeah, exactly.
So church chat lady.
Yeah, so because I was living in market housing. Even though it's a house, right, it's still paying market rent. How is that right? So that it's discrimination, really. So it says
you're not allowed to call it discrimination, Brent.
No, not at all.
You're not allowed to call it that, Brenton.
No. So they're expected to basically double the number of families that are going to be eligible for approximately 3,200 to nearly 6,000. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Increasing the average family supplement from existing recipients from $400 a month to $700 a month. Mm-hmm. Well, that's really going to help them a lot. That's huge. Wow. I guess they finally got around to it decades later, after fighting with the government for decades ago. I did, and they finally got around to doing that. So, doing the math, I'd be probably getting pretty old by the time they do that. Of course,
that's one less more to do that they can take off the list. Their rent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
They tick off the one less more to do.
And so getting to the Safers part of it, I'm just going to skim through the other part. That's fine. The Safers part, so they're going to increasing the household income limit for eligibility from $37,240 to $40,000. So it's going to help a lot of people. What they've also done is that they're increasing the average supplement for Safers by nearly 30%. Bringing the average monthly subsidy for existing seniors to $337. So seniors will only have to pay $337, and then so they live in their own house. Maybe they're paying, maybe their market rent is really high, so they're only going to pay $337, and the rest is going to be as a subsidy by the government as a top up. Again, so getting to that part here, this is where I'm going to dive into. This is
where we're going to rant and rave part.
Yeah, this is where we rant and rave is where we had a minister from the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction in British Columbia, Honorable MLA Sheila Malcolmson. Quite some time ago now. It just time flies by.
Yeah.
But one of the questions I had, regarding the Safers and the RAP program, to help individuals. I mean, because I said, rents were going up then, and the minister recognized that, and she appreciated my question because, I said, like, what are you going to do for this? And so the answer was like, there's more to do. But my recommendation was, and this is where the rant and rave is going to really take off here. My recommendation was extend the program ever for PWD who pay market rent in the same category as all the other individuals do. Yeah. Extend that same program over for PWD and market rent. And the response was, that's brilliant, Brent. I like that. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, then why the hell? Why was it not included in this email to help people? Because the government recognizes that the cost of living is high.
Yeah. And let's springboard. I mean, we're going to be talking back and forth about this thing, but let's springboard now on the service plan document that was released by Sheila Malcolmson now too. That was just the other day that she released the service. I'm going to try to screen share. I didn't set this up ahead of time, so bear with me. Just give me maybe a few seconds here. I'm going to see if I can screen share it here. I know we're small right now. I just have to pick the right screen.
Well, Neil's
here we go. I've got it now. So you can see on the screen, it's the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction, and it's the service plan. And interestingly, what really blew me away, it's dated March 2025, but what really blew me away is it's got the dates for 2025 to 2026 and also 2027 to 2028.
Oh,
so this is like, it gives the impression that it's a really comprehensive thing. It's not only for this year, but it's all the way until 2028.
3 more years.
Yeah. And I could skim through this. I mean, maybe I will a little bit.
Sure.
But it's there's Sheila Malcolmson. You can see her picture there. It's a 20-page document. And somebody was paid good money to do this document. And I've already told you, you showed it to me the other day, this document, and you said, what's your opinion on it, Neil? And I said, it's a fluff piece. It's like word salad. It talks about, if you go down here to, I'm just scrolling down, it talks about the goal number one. Goal number one is to reduce poverty in British Columbia. Now that sounds great, right?
Oh.
Reduce poverty in British, excuse me, in
British
Columbia.
It chokes me up every time on that.
I'm choked up about it.
Oh yeah,
but
and not increasing rates,
other than that, there's no mention of increasing rates. You just nailed it on the head there, Brent.
Yeah.
They have goal number one is to reduce poverty in British Columbia, but there's zero mention of increasing rates. There's no mention of it. And basically I could scroll down this whole thing and it's just a bunch of word salad. That's all it is. It's just like, I was thinking of I love my metaphors, right? And like, remember when you were in like maybe even elementary school or early high school, and the teacher said, you have to make a 10-page essay or something. And so you're thinking 10 pages. And then so you think, oh, okay, to make 10 pages, I'm going to just write bigger. I'll write bigger and I'll and I'll put less words on each line.
Yeah.
And that'll fill up the pages. This is kind of what they've done here.
That's what it seems like.
Like if you really look at what the content, there's nothing here. Like
all gibberish. They just kind of threw it all in.
It's all just a bunch of jibber jabber. And like I said, somebody was paid really good money for this. But there actually is no like, honestly,
there's no content. There's no structure. There's
no actionable item. That's what it is there's no actionable item. Like if
there's no body to it. There's no content.
If you scroll back to goal one, it was let's reduce poverty. But again, there's no mention there's
imagine that,
zero
eh?
mention of increasing the rates.
Imagine that, everybody. Let's reduce, or how about let's eliminate poverty. Not increasing rates for years on end. Yeah, that's really going to eliminate poverty. But
Yeah,
hey, don't worry, everybody. The Canada Disability Benefit is going to be amazing, right? It's going to
yeah,
solve everything. You know why? Because BC is getting a super duper computer, state of the art computer
yeah.
in 2024. Oh, wait a minute, we're in 2025. The computer's not there. Oh, hang on. Maybe, Neil, is it the same computer that maybe handled the bus pass program that got
Yeah,
dismantled?
I know.
Oh, hang on. Yeah. They still got to put that one together.
Well, the fact that
Oh,
that document, that service document that I just went skim through, it's dated all the way till 2028, and the
oh.
fact that there's so little content, there's so little actionable items,
Mm-hmm.
that basically proves to me that they're just going to sit on their hands. They're
Yep.
just going to sit on their hands till 2028,
Yep.
do
Yep.
nothing, and basically just say a whole bunch of word salad stuff like more to do, and let's reduce poverty, but don't talk about increasing rates. Don't talk
Mm-hmm.
about that. Don't talk
Exactly.
about that. But we're gonna reduce poverty though.
Yeah.
Trust us. Trust us.
Well, yeah, we have our
Yeah.
10-year action plan that we're
Yeah.
gonna eliminate or reduce poverty by. I think the one report that I was reading, well, years ago now, it said they were going to reduce poverty by for child poverty by 50%, and child poverty by 50%, and they were going to reduce adult poverty by 25%. Well, gee, fast forward, and here we are. They're not even reducing anything. Like I say, going years and skipping it and not doing anything. That's really escalating poverty. I call it poverty escalation, not de-escalation, and that's why they need to get rid of that poverty. The ministry's name, poverty reduction. There's no
Yeah.
poverty reduction at all.
Yeah. If you're not going to reduce poverty, get rid of the name. I mean,
Yeah,
I've said that so many times,
yeah,
but
it's
I mean,
irrelevant.
it's true because it just looks terrible. If you're
Oh yeah.
actually not going to do anything, if you're going to sit on your hands till 2028, which that service document says, basically, we're going to sit on our hands. Like they're saying it without saying it, but I mean, I can read between the lines. I mean,
Yeah, me too.
again, I just skimmed the document, so you can say, well, Neil, you didn't need to actually read it. Well, fair enough, but I can, you know, I can look beyond the lines and
Yeah,
see there's no content there. There's no
exactly.
actionable item. There's nothing about raising rates. It's just a whole bunch of word salad nonsense.
That's what I do too. I learned that in college when I was going through, is to look through documents and look for keywords, and that's what we were trained for. Is my instructor said is to get the gist of the article that we were reading, and then kind of build on an essay on that. Is that to find the certain key elements of the article, and then
Yeah.
get those out, and then put them into an essay, and then really emphasize on those topics. Well, there's no topic about rates, increasing rates in
No.
that article. So again,
Zero mention.
yeah,
Zero mention.
and
And somebody was paid very well to put that 20 pages together, I'm sure.
oh yeah,
Like maybe upwards to like $100,000 or something, maybe
oh, I'm
more.
sure at least, oh yeah,
At
and,
least that, right?
well,
Like minimum.
especially when it comes to them hiring and firing and hiring and firing all these ministers, and oh, we need to redo the Titanic chairs here. Let's fire one person in the office, and let's hire the other person that was doing the other person's job, and hey, now you've got that one. 400,000, 300,000 severance payout, and
Yeah,
yeah,
I've shared before on the podcast a number of times, like my degree in university, it was going to be as a school teacher, for grades 4 to 7, but then I had to switch because
yeah.
they said I couldn't be a teacher with bent legs, so I switched, and I got my degree in English literature and psychology.
Mhm.
So I mean, you know, if Sheila Malcolmson wanted to hire me for $100,000 to create a word salad, I could have done it. I could have created a word salad service document.
Mhm.
I could have done a way better job But if all she wanted was a word salad, I could do that too. You
Mm-hmm.
know, say a lot without saying anything, Neil. Sure.
Well, exactly, and it's like them balancing their budgets in the government. I mean, my gosh, we're at like a $10 billion deficit now, with the carbon tax credit getting eliminated for low income individuals in BC. That's a huge loss, right? That's a
Yeah.
huge loss. Economically, the government says, well, economically uncertainty. Going forward, we may not be able to raise the rates. Really, well, that's interesting, because they blame it on the tariffs, right? Yeah. Oh, it's the tariffs. Well, okay, so you didn't raise the rates in 2024, right? Mm-hmm. That was before the tariffs came in. But when you did raise rates in 2023, that only went to some PWD, not all, right? Yeah. The ones in market housing, yes, you got it. The ones in subsidized housing, or maybe you're under the rental assistance program, but you had a family member that was a PWD. Well, they were paying market rent. Okay, yeah, they got that. But everybody in the household, they didn't get nothing, right?
Yeah.
The seniors, they didn't get that. That was a different kind of a category altogether. Again, it's that divide of dividing population, pinning certain population against other population. You can have and you can have nots, have and have nots. I mean, I've had a lot of people have asked me recently, well, can you go down the memory lane and let people know what the rate increases are? Because some people are saying 2 years, there was no rate increase, or 4 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I mean, Rant and Rave, and that's what this episode's about. I'll quickly go through it. I don't want to bore people with
it's the shell game, right?
It's the shell game.
We're gonna get into the shell game here. It's
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say what was technically announced in the BC budget. Okay, like I'll give the government a little bit of grace on saying, yeah, they raised the rates. Okay, wasn't in the budget, but I'm going to say what was actually in the budget, and people can do the math and they say, oh my gosh. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I will start really quickly and I'll summarize these rate increases and what each one entailed. So when the BC NDP, and this is not picking on the NDP, this is about picking on policies and decision-making of rate increases, because it could be any party that was actually in power and they probably would have done the same thing, right? So, but because the NDP was in power, yeah. In 2017, before 2017, the NDP was in opposition. A lot of awesome ideas. It's restored the bus pass program. It was a $45 a year bus pass program that the other administration decided to take it away after decades. I mean, it helped people being more mobile in their communities to get around to appointments, visit family, friends. Go shopping, whatever extracurricular activities, whatever they want to do. They just had the bus pass. They paid an administration fee of $45 a year. You could ride unlimited throughout the whole region. When I say throughout the whole region, anywhere in British Columbia. So you could ride within TransLink or BC Transit. BC Transit's outside of Metro Vancouver area. And so it's on Vancouver Island, northern BC, southern Okanagan, up in the Kootenays, where you're going to get hit and miss transit. Some areas don't even have transit. So anyway, with that being said, they had a special transportation subsidy for areas outside of the BC Transit where they serviced a conventional bus service. So they got a special transportation subsidy where people could maybe put that money toward car insurance if they drove. If they didn't drive, they could maybe pay a neighbor or pay for a taxi. They didn't have Uber back then, so
no.
But
that was a good solution, right?
It was a good solution.
It worked. It worked for people.
Well, yeah, because
and then you had you had Stillwell come on the scene
to change the whole system. Yeah. 5-6 people.
Or 5-6 people said, "Oh, this is not equitable."
Yeah, so they wanted to get rid of that special transportation subsidy. So that was a lump sum. That was like, I believe it was like $692, something like that. It was up there, right? And so it was a lump sum. So somebody could have said, "Well, hey, I'm going to use this for a taxi." They could go and use it to buy some groceries that they wanted to. It was a lump sum. Yeah. But hey, they didn't have a transportation, so the whole system got changed. So with that being said, on that, this whole system got changed under the other administration, and I remember going to convention meetings, and I kept advocating to push to restore that bus pass because it got discontinued. Um, and I met with the then premier, who was actually in opposition, John Horgan. And his administration and him, they didn't know at the time, like there was a transition when this thing was getting dismantled. Sonia and myself brought it to their attention, and we were the first ones to blow the whistle on this bus pass program. His administration, well, it was getting worked on. Some of them actually didn't get notified in time what was going on. And John's like, this is heavy news. Are you sure about that? I said, uh-huh. Because we just got a notice saying it was going to be discontinued, and we just finished rallying about this. Oh my gosh. And so, going forward, the BC NDP then, got into power. They said they were going to restore the bus pass program. John Horgan, had put a lot of videos out about that. Just restore the $45.
I just want to say too quickly, I'll interject, is that at that time when all of this was like the shit was hitting the fan, my clawback issue was happening too,
right
at the same time, and so this was back in 2016 or so, right? And of course, my clawback issue was happening before then. But what was happening too is I just happened to catch the ear of Sam Sullivan because I used to work at his foundation, right? And he says, "Oh yeah, this clawback issue is crap." So that was one thing. He really did step to the bat for me and really advocate hard for me, and it was able to restore part of it, like restore my son's portion of it at least. But what I was going to say in connection to the bus pass thing, he let me know kind of an inside knowledge that basically the whole party, the whole caucus, had a gun to their head, like I'm being serious, had a gun to their head and said, "You vote for this, or we're taking a whole bunch of shit off the table." They literally had a gun to their head and say, "You're going to ram this through, and you're going to vote for it and say yes to it, or we're going to just throw a whole bunch of shit off the table."
Yeah, that's what I heard about too. They were going to completely scrap the whole program. So, and that's the part where I'm going to get to right now is when, so they were going to scrap the whole bus pass program. The seniors one is still in place, right? As we speak, it's still in place. They still get the same bus pass that the PWD in BC used to get. They don't have to advocate and fight to have the bus pass restored back to its original state because it's still there. Now, I'm not pinning disabled against seniors. I'm just saying as an example, though, is that the seniors have that same bus pass that the PWD had for decades.
So if senior citizens are first class citizens because they still have the bus pass. If they're first class citizens with a bus pass, what does that make PWD? What kind of citizens are we?
That's what I kind of wonder, because I mean, the seniors could live in a rural area, and they don't have that special transportation subsidy.
We're the citizens of you can choose to have or have not. It's your choice. It's your choice to do without a bus pass. So you're choosing to go without a bus pass, Brent, or you're choosing to go without a bus pass, Neil. It's a choice that you're making.
It's all
about choices.
It's all about choices, and seniors have their $45 administration fee. They pay it. Yep. I've had seniors in my area ask me, "Hey, do you know when that mail is coming?" Because we had the canned post strike, and I said, their stickers got backlogged, but the bus drivers would just allow them to get onto the bus, and and they got their application, they just fill it out and take it to the bank. They pay the $45. So it was all basically a lot of it was carrying on. The government kept carrying on. We got to restore this bus pass, and so they got into power. Well, then of course the advocacy groups, we all kept pushing the government at the time. Okay, well, you were in opposition. We need this bus pass restored. Oh, we wanted to, and I had media reaching out to me saying, Brent, what's going on here? And I said, well, they're not restoring the bus pass. Oh, well, they say that the bus pass, the computer system operating it, it was dismantled by the other administration.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't as Neil just described. It wasn't. It was purposely set that way, but the government ran with it. They wanted the general public and the media to think that, hey, the system was dismantled. They couldn't put it back together.
Misinformation.
Yeah, and they figured, hey, people are going to believe it. Yay. Yeah, it's like a pink unicorn, right? One behind me. Well, hey, it's all believable. So let's just run with it. And people go, yeah. Eventually, they're just going to let it go. They're just like, whatever. It is what it is. Well, when the government formed, right away, the first thing they did, and kudos on John Horgan, okay? I must say, John Horgan said, I promise that I'm going to raise the rates by, he didn't say how much, but I promise I'm going to raise the rates when I get into power, if I get into power. And he did. He committed to that. He promised it. He followed through with his commitment by saying he would. And he did. $100. And he said, I don't want people to have to wait until the budget time, which normally in BCR budgets come out in February, sometimes in March or April, usually, March, sorry, not April. This year it's in 2025. It was in March 4th, came out the budget announcement. So it's in February. That's how it always falls. So John didn't want us to all have to wait till then. And he told me that on a personal level. He said, I will always advocate to push to get your rates increased up to no less than the poverty line, right? Because he says people need to live in a dignified world, right? In a society where you can come and go and do what you want to do in life. I mean, you shouldn't be pinned down and saying, you need a day pass to leave the friggin' province. I mean, he said, that's crap. He said, on a personal level, he told me on a personal level, that's crap. He said, that's bullshit, really. I said, then why is it still that way? He said, it's all bureaucratic red tape. And he says, really, what it comes down to, I think John wanted to see a lot of changes, Neil. I think he wanted to see a lot of changes happen, but the government wouldn't let him do it. The powers to be within government wouldn't let him do it, and that's policy. So we $100 increase. We got into power. Now that was in 2017. 2018 came. Well, technically, that $100 wasn't. It was announced early in the fall of 2017. So 2018, the bus pass. The government ran with that in the budget, saying, "Well, we restored the bus pass, $52." Yeah, so you could have $52.
And you have a choice. Do you want food? Do you want food, or do you want a bus pass?
Food, or have a bus pass.
Do you want to heat your house? Do you want to heat your house, or do you?
Yeah, or you stay opted in. You stay opted into that bus pass. You can have the equivalent of a $45 a year bus pass equivalent, right? If you stay opted in, it would be like the same thing. Or if you do that, well, now because your cost of living was slowly going up at that time, not by much, but it was slowly going up. But the government didn't increase the rates though at that time because they already given that other $100. So, so you had a choice. So so that's $52. So they'll classify that as an increase, right? So that's how the government's looking at it.
That's one of those increases. Yeah, that's one.
So, okay. So exactly. So, but they're classifying that $100 increase though. That $100.
Okay. So okay.
Okay. So now we're looking at 2019, $50 increase, $50, everyone. Yep. Now 2020 came. Well, we all know what happened in 2020. The whole world changed. Everything upside down. Where COVID was announced. And BC, I don't know, other provinces, they got tiny little bits of a supplement that was given to their recipients. Other provinces, nothing, which is disgraceful. But in BC, our province gave $300 as a pilot project, and they were checking it every 3 to 4 months in increments just to see how the program was going to help PWD, low-income seniors, income assistance recipients. That's right. And people all got that $300. And so that was actually in 2020. But it started so that started in the spring of 2020. They continued that on till the end of December. They made an announcement that in the winter of 2021, they were going to be discontinuing the COVID supplement, the $300. And a lot of the advocates, including myself and other people in my community that I lived in Langley, and Sonia too, we all rallied. We had it's called the $300 campaign to basically restore the $300 COVID supplement. We ran with it. Media was buzzing all over. They were contacting me. They were phoning me, emailing me, anywhere on social media. They wanted to do news stories on this. I mean, every time I turned around, I had like tons of media that was all over. They were all contacting me. Yeah, like I had dressed up. It was cold. Like it was cold when they were doing these interviews, and I guess I was dressed a little bit too warm. I hadn't had lunch yet, and so I was feeling a little bit fatigued at the time, and so my energy level was down. Of course, I didn't realize that I had a low iron supplement. My iron was a little bit low too, which I hadn't really boosted up. And I started kind of getting dizzy there, Neil. Like I was just like, I'm standing here, reporters talking to me, camera shooting. Okay, you ready? So let's do a drop set right across the building where you lived at. And they loved this walkway because it was kind of going off on an angle. He goes, that would be so cool. Have you standing here? I go, yeah, but that's not where I live. Yeah, I know, but it looks like that's where
nobody else knows that though.
And so I'm standing here and I'm just like, yo, is everything okay? I go, yeah, I'm okay. I'm talking, and all I kept hearing is everything okay.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And I'm thinking in my mind, okay, Brent, snap out of this. What is going on here? Okay, so what would happen? And then all of a sudden I started it was back to normal. So how would this change your life right now if the government was to take it away right now? Like what would happen? Well, I would have to find a different kind of housing. Also, well, and I guess he stopped the recording. We continued after. Next thing you know, he grabbed onto my arm. He sat me down in his car. He was a reporter. He sat me down. We talked, and he gave me some juice. He had a juice box. He gave it to me. Boom. I was back up to normal. Yeah. So we continued the recording. He asked me, are you okay to continue? Yeah, fine. I go, and I thought, okay, I'll give myself a good swift kick in the ass. And it says, get there. I always thought what my mom said, get up, give yourself a swift kick in the ass, Brent, and keep going forward. Suck it up. Come on, be a man here. I hadn't eaten because I was go. I was talking to reporters, doing other reports that day. I just didn't stop to have something to eat. My energy level was down. I was dehydrated. I was cold because it was cold out. So I was dressed warm, and I guess I dressed too warm. And so all that, I was getting overheated and exhaustion, right? I mean, wow, amazing what things can happen to a person. But yeah, I look back at it and it was amazing, the media that was contacting me. So so getting back to the COVID supplement. So that was okay. So that was in fall. We were freaking because we had moved to another place, and we saw a place getting built in Langley. We thought, this will be amazing. Wouldn't it be nice to live there? And Sonia says, well, wouldn't it be nice to go live in that nice building that they're building? I go, we could never afford that, Sonia. I mean, we can dream of a nice place. Well, and the reporter said to us, on the side before he started recording, he goes, well, if they keep the $300 going, you could actually move in there, could you? Like, yeah, technically. Well, why not apply? He encouraged us to apply. So I said, well, I'm going to go and talk to the government office. I'm going to go and talk to the ministry's office and get their advice. Just get some advice around. And I mean, a couple of reporters said I would do it. I would. I mean, why not? I mean, if they're going to keep it in, because that's what they'll do. They'll end up keeping it in. Like they give it to change your life. They're not going to take it away, man. So I go to the ministry.
You know what the thing about assumptions though, Brent?
Yeah.
When you assume,
it makes
an ass.
If you break down the word assume, everybody, it makes an ass out of you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to the ministry's office and I said, okay, so what's happening with the supplement? Well, Brent, I mean, this is what your entitlement is. This is the amount going forward. Any management or any company that you rent from, any landlord or whoever it may be, property management company, whatever it is, this is the amount. They're not going to take it away. This is this is the amount solid. Oh, they're not going to take it away. No, no, we've been told that the government's not going to be taking it away. Well, I heard that they're going to
Once we raise the rates, we'll never,
well, that's what they said. Yeah, they're not
we'll
going to
never take it away.
That's what they told me. We're not going to go backwards. I mean, that would be cruel. That would be cruel to do that.
Yeah.
So we ran with it. We gave it to our corporate manager, and they said, okay. And the corporate manager's boss was sitting right there at the time, and he says, can I see the document, the income? So I gave it to him, and yeah, this is from the ministry. Okay, perfect. Do you want to rent here? Fill out the application. We'll get back to you. Boom, we were approved for it. And there was another place that was a little bit older. It was older, but it was remodeled. We could have went with the other place, or we could have went with a new place. So I asked the ministry. There was two places that we had to choose from. They said, "Well, go with the new one." I mean, sure, the other one's remodeled. I mean, close to everything that you need. But I would go with the new one. I mean, the government's not going to take it away, so it's a bonus for you anyway. And we'll pay for the moving. We'll pay for your moving over there anyways. Don't worry about that. Really? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, the government said, yeah, we'll pay it. Well, fast forward. So in 2021, basically they chopped it back by $125 off that $300. They kept it going. The government said, well, that's the best we can do right now. We'll keep it going though. But here's $175. We had to make a difficult decision because we knew that the rent was going to be high and we couldn't afford our place. So we had to move to Victoria. We looked around everywhere locally. We could not find anything that was available. You had to give your 30 days notice in. Call us at the end of the month or the beginning of the month. Well, it's too late, right? I mean, playing cat and mouse game. So we had to look around and we had to make an ultimate decision to move to the capital region. We found cheaper housing, and the government said, "Well, we'll pay for the housing. We'll pay for it because rent is cheaper." Yeah. So here we are. But in 2022, there was no rate increase on PWD. In 2023, well, we know in BC that $125 that they clawed off that $300 in 2021, it got given back to some PWD in BC that are paying market housing rent, but not the ones in subsidized housing. Meanwhile, their cost of living has gone up.
Another example of haves and haves not.
Yeah. In 2024, no increase. 2025, no increase. So let's add up the figures here. So 2017, okay, it came early, one increase. In 2018, bus pass, they're using that as a income increase, okay? So we'll say 2018, so that's two increases, right? In 2019, three. In 2020, well, nothing, but 2021, that's a 175. 2023, 125. Five increases. Five increases in 8 years.
But basically, it was more like three because they just.
Or if we want to really go down, what was actually in the budget, what was announced
in the budget, it was even worse.
That would be in 2019. In 2019, and actually in 2023, that was announced of the 125.
Yeah,
that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. But I mean, I guess some people will say that. I mean, but I still say, well, I mean, they gave $100 increase when they first got in. So I'm going to be fair. Like I'm going to say that was a good thing to do because they said rates hadn't been increased in so many years. What the government didn't do and what they should have done, like the shelter rates that everyone knows in British Columbia watching this, they were just frozen. I mean, for 16 years, right? And I don't do the blame game. Other administration, well, look what they did, 16 years. I mean, yeah, should they have increased it? Absolutely. Should the NDP have increased it when they got into power up to market rent? Oh, 100% absolutely. Because when they were in opposition, nobody can rent at $375. Nobody can rent. They used to complain about the other opposition or the government that was in power, the minister. She used to complain, Stillwell used to complain, you can't rent anywhere for $1,000.
Yeah.
So they up theirs up to $1,500. Now it's over $2,500.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, the shelter could have been increased. What I want to see going forward, the rant and rave part. So we narrowed all that down, the increases. Should they have done more? Hell, absolutely. I want to see that shelter portion obliterated, because really what's happening is that these RAP program and these SAFERs, they qualify because they don't have that shelter equivalent in place. Because PWD have shelter equivalent in place, they're paying the market housing. They don't qualify according to the government. When I asked them, and when they has to have the case managers at the offices, I sat down, had a meeting once, and they said because PWD pay the shelter in market housing, you don't qualify for that. And they told that to my mom, because my mom had applied for the SAFERS program, and she said, "Well, technically, Brent, I mean, because you have that, because you pay the shelter portion, you don't qualify for these subsidized programs." I said, "Well, then they need to get rid of that." And that was decades ago. And here we are in 2025, a government doesn't basically increase rates for 2 years in a row. They want to call themselves Poverty Reduction Ministry. Poverty escalation, cost of living skyrocket. I don't know who's not suffering in BC or across the country. I mean, our show is centralized for all PWD across the country in Canada. To all recipients.
Yeah, we have Wally in chat, and he's in Calgary, and he's saying that everybody's really pissed off that the Alberta government's going to be clawing back the CDB.
The CDB.
Yeah.
You know, I've been following that.
They have a right to be pissed off, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you know, thanks for that comment in the chat regarding that. I've been following that very closely. I hear you. I don't see you because, I mean, you're on chat, but I hear your comments on that, and it's really disheartening that any government will claw back a subsidy from another government, like from a federal government that was promised 5 frickin' years ago. 5 years ago, federal government, come on, like seriously, like it was supposed to be historic CDB to lift PWD out of poverty because their provincial governments neglect to basically raise the rates above to no less than poverty level financial support. It's not rocket science. And then you've got a government in Alberta. Come on, Daniel Smith. Come on, get your minister together here. Don't claw back. I mean,
the follow-up question from the follow-up comment from Wally is, you know, and the government wonders why everybody's going to a food bank, you know? And that's what kind of bugs me too, is you have a lot of photo ops from governments, provincial governments saying, you know, look at me, I'm standing in front of a food bank, and you know, I know there are a lot of good food banks, so I don't want to like crap all over them. But at the same time,
nonprofit.
I mean, you shouldn't be using food banks to prop up, you know, government lack of action or wanting to do the right thing, you know.
Like Wally,
the only reason why food banks exist is because the government doesn't want to do the right thing, and that's not good enough.
Like Wally, on your comment, like first of all, I will keep advocating and pushing the governments to do the right thing. I believe wholeheartedly that no clawbacks from any province should even happen. I think Ontario is considering not clawing back. They haven't 100% really come to that conclusion. I think that the push comes to shove, I think that they will reverse course and not claw back. I'm hoping that Alberta, your government under Daniel Smith, under the Conservative government there, will do the right thing also and basically not claw back. Basically meaning when people are listening to this now, so a clawback basically means no increase. I mean, as an extra subsidy on top of provincial assistance. Every province has their own name that they call for PWD, that they program in place. They're not even adequate supports in place. I mean, for the cost of living and the market rents, and just in general, not even just that. I mean, your disability related expenses above that amount. I mean, and clothing, everything included, and having them take away a measly old up to $200 away. I read a comment, Wally, recently. I'm not sure if you saw it, but it was quoted that I think in your government they said the minister said something about well, I mean, they're getting $1,901. I mean, that's enough to get by on. I mean, wow, like, I mean, really? I mean, and I don't pin PWD against PWD because like each province has their own different amounts for what they give their recipients on their provincial programs for PWD. Yeah. I mean, BC, we're at 1483.50.
But here's where I wanted to interrupt you again, yeah, Brent.
That's okay.
I mean, you talked about pitting PWD against PWD.
Yeah.
And you're quite right that we can't really compare. We can't start really comparing provincial programs to one another because I mean provinces are, I mean, they have the
different cost of living.
They have the right to do. Unfortunately, they have the right to do what they want.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say, what really gets me is that our own provinces, like here in BC, they'll adopt that. Like I've said, like the PWD against PWD, or it's kind of like a stratification of disability. It's like, well, because you're on this stratification of disability, you qualify for the subsidy, rent subsidy. If you're not in this stratification here, you don't qualify because they have different categories, like subcategories.
Which is terrible.
Within the disability. And
it's all embedded. It's all embedded. Red tape.
You can't do that. You can't do that because not only does it just become unfair, it actually becomes discriminatory. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's discriminatory when you have all these layers of stratification and saying, well, this person qualifies for a bus pass, this person doesn't. This person qualifies for a road subsidy. This person doesn't. This person deserves to get their survivors pension clawed back. This person can keep their income.
Well,
it's all that kind of stuff.
Like one of my neighbors. Without giving names, because I'm sure she watches the podcast, but I hear you. Like we had a conversation with a neighbor just 3 days ago, and we were talking about market rents. She rents from the same company that I rent from. I mean, amazing enough, a different building, and it's run by a different management company, but it's because they have different management that run different buildings, right? But it's the same company, and get this. So she lives in the same, pays market rent. Well, technically she would be paying market rent. So she's in the same kind of situation. However, she gets an umbrella under CLBC, like CLBC. So she gets to pay rent geared to income. How is that fair? But she's PWD, right, but she gets to live in her building. I'm PWD. I get to pay market rent.
Yeah.
I don't get subsidized housing.
You're an orange PWD and she's a blue PWD. That's the difference.
Yeah. I know. And she was like so confused on that too. She said, that is not right. How come? Because she says, in my building, we got a unit that's available because like we need to, like, there's a difference between needs and wants. We need to move out of our building. And she says, well, in my building, there's a unit there's like 4 units that's come available. I go, wow. The rents are really high. Oh, they've come down, but she said, doesn't matter what the rent is because you're in BC housing, right? I go, no, I pay market rent. Oh, well, I'm under CLBC, which is an umbrella off of BC housing. It's BC housing. There's nonprofits where people can live in a nonprofit BC housing facility, like a building. Or you can pay, or you can have CLBC, where you can still live in the housing that you want to be in, or you're in, and they make arrangements. I mean,
they have more protections under that program. There's way more protections. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Which is again why I'm saying like you're an orange and she's a blue. There's the different stratification there again.
Well, she said too. I mean, that's discrimination, and it is. It's and that has to end. Like. On that, because again, people shouldn't have to choose to, pay high market rent where you could have subsidized housing. I mean, really, like at the end of the day, all that money goes back into the community, right? So I always say, you give people the money, they can make decisions what they want, and they put it back into the community. It's supporting small businesses, great, but it's not always the case either because I mean that can be quite costly too. But it's the autonomy, let a person make decisions for themselves, what works good for them. And Wally, like getting back to your other comment regarding food banks, like Neil touched on that too. Like people shouldn't PWD, I mean, shouldn't have to go. I mean, if they want to go, great. But they shouldn't have to go to a food bank. Because food banks don't always give all and most of the time they don't. Maybe in some cases they do. In some nonprofits, they probably give nutritional food. I do know of some that do give nutritional food, but in a lot of cases, you can only get what's available. And a lot of strain has been put on food banks now too. In some communities throughout each different province. I mean, BC and Alberta too. I know there's a lot of strain that's been put on food banks because the demand has become greater and greater. Why has it become greater and greater? Because people's income is not stretchable. You can't get the amount of dollar value for a dollar now. Like, just imagine, I mean, going back decades, I can look at what I could get for $100 worth of groceries, $100.
Let's go 88 miles an hour, Brent.
Yeah,
88 miles an hour.
And yet, if you go 88 miles an hour, you're going to see some serious shit, right? So, I mean, you could get a lot of volume happening there, right? I mean, based on the speed there, going that fast, but you can get a lot of items for $100 now. $100, oh geez, maybe $40. Depends on what you're buying. Maybe 30, because a lot of those items have gone up in price.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I remember a can of coffee I would get on sale. Like I would see it on sale for the odd time, not very often, at $2.99. Usually, the regular price was like $3.99. That same coffee now, $12.99, $15.99, and it actually recently went up to $16.49. That same coffee originally $3.99, $16.49. Like, wow, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
Well, I used the example. I used the example of the avocado the other day.
Yeah.
The avocados used to be around
5 cents.
70 cents. And
Yeah.
and now I just told you the other day, my wife went and checked and it was $2.70. That's almost a 400% markup. Almost a 400% markup.
Oh, Sonia
for avocados.
Sonia got one the other day to put on her salad. $3.99.
For one?
One, because it came from Mexico. You know why? Because now
of the tariffs.
The stores having to import all this stuff away from the US. And I talked to the merchant, and they're trying to keep the cost down as much as they can. Right now, they're actually absorbing the cost of the shipping. And
so that's now a 500% markup now.
Yeah.
On avocados, which is just crazy.
And they don't know how long. They don't know how long they're going to be able to keep absorbing that cost. They said, because otherwise it's going to get passed on to the consumer. I mean, they're coming from Mexico. Some areas they're getting from Australia, New Zealand. I mean, Asia. I mean, you name it. Except for U.S. And we got a head of lettuce from the store, and some of it wasn't exactly. Some of it was rotten in between the middle. You cut into it, so you could salvage a lot of it. But there was areas that in there was just, I don't know. There was some kind of smell to it. I don't know what was going on there. If it's, I'm hoping that's not bad, because I don't want to eat bad lettuce and then get sick, right?
And we've come to the end of the podcast already, and we didn't actually even touch on. I just wanted to maybe spend 30 seconds.
Well, we can touch a few more minutes if our guest.
Because David Eby has been in the news quite a bit, because he loves to govern by media release, or by news conference. Like, that's his whole thing now, is like, Oh, I want to talk about something. Let's have a news conference. I want to talk about something. Let's have a news. So it's governing by news conference now,
Mhm.
which something that Peter Millibar said from the BC Conservatives, and I like it's 100% correct. And I do not like that. That David Eby is using the tariff thing as an excuse. He really is
Mhm.
because I
Mhm.
mean, you know,
Yeah.
he inherited what was it, a $7 billion surplus? Was it seven billion?
6 billion
I think
dollars.
it was almost seven though.
Yeah, almost seven. Yeah, when
Yeah.
his predecessor John Horgan was premier, it was a $6 billion, almost $7 billion surplus.
And
Uh,
now we're like a little over 2 years.
yeah,
Now we're staring down a $10 billion deficit.
oh, it's going to
So
be close to 14
it's
apparently.
going to be 14 pretty soon. So
Yeah,
you're talking 21 billion dollars, $21 billion in the hole now.
and that's not including no PWD increase, folks, for
Yeah,
with
for
disabilities. 2 years,
2 years.
2 years. The last
Yeah,
increase was
just just
125.
just crazy.
Meanwhile, rents have gone up. I get a rent increase, two rent increases. I got one that's sitting here. Yeah, I without showing the information here. But
Mhm,
you know, like yeah, it's right here, right?
mhm,
So I got a rent increase notice. Yeah, June 1st. Yeah, June 1st. That's when it
yeah,
kicks in. But no rent, no increase on our rates. Again,
yeah.
I asked a question to David Eby in 2024 as a talk show phone in show to ask the premier any questions. And, yeah, the answer I got was it was very subtle. It was very subtle comment. Didn't want to deal with it. It was like thinking, oh God, here he goes again. Well,
In
about
case
rate.
you don't know, Brent, in case you
In
don't know,
case you don't know, Brent, we've raised the earnings exemptions for persons with disabilities. So if that's something that you don't know, then yeah, you might want to look into that. Okay,
yeah.
so newsflash: people who are medically assessed and designated as persons with disabilities in the province of British Columbia, who are assessed by their medical practitioners or
Mhm.
any or specialists, you are on disability for reasons, right?
Yeah,
You are
yeah.
born that way.
We're not just doing it for fun.
I know government would love it if people could magically, like a unicorn,
Yeah, like the unicorn. Yeah,
yeah, like a unicorn, magically make their disability go away.
yeah.
I remember from an eye doctor one time, and I walked out of the freaking office. I called him an idiot. I said, "You're an idiot." He
Hmm.
says, "Wouldn't that be a magic if I could make your condition just go away, Brent? Eye surgery is going to solve the problem." Really? So you study my eye condition? You must be some world organization. I said that. Amazing. They come with a cure, just like the guy said they've come with a cure for cancer and diabetes and all these other things. Oh yeah, it's state of the art computer and my machine here, and it can actually read things and it calculates and knows how to cure it. Really, so that's a risky proposition. And what
Hmm.
happens? What happens if it doesn't? Oh no, it's not. It doesn't. It will fix your condition. Then you could go and drive a vehicle. You could do anything in life. You could drive a bus. You could go and you could fly a plane, Brent. Imagine that. Wow, I could be a pilot. Hey, I said, you know what? I'll tell you what, Doc. This is what I said. And I walked out. I said, you're an idiot. I said, so I'll tell you what, Doc. You sit in the chair. I'm going to go and operate and do laser surgery on you because you're actually not even reading the actual information correctly here, what my disability actually is. You're not seeing me for who I am. Excuse me? I'm an eye doctor. I see. And I said, oh, you're not seeing me for who I am. And you're
Hmm.
not seeing my actual condition. Well, I don't. I mean, I have other colleagues who study your condition, but I don't. I'm not. I don't know a lot about your condition. Roy, you're the one telling me that I should go for eye surgery. I said,
Hmm.
there could be a huge lawsuit on your hands if you screwed up, right? I already had surgery when I was a kid. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, they couldn't correct my eye condition then, and there is no cure for it. Lucky for me, my eye condition, it hasn't. It's stabilized but it's showing signs that, I mean, as we get older, I mean, you're going to get a little bit more degradation. Nothing major, but when I had an eye test done, they're keeping an eye on a few things to do with my eye condition, but also another add-on to it too, right? Cataracts. They said there's an indication that there might be a development of cataracts, but they're not sure. Simply because my eye condition it's mimicking that, so they're not sure if it's because of the condition that my eyes are. So they're looking at it. They said as long as I'm seeing fine and I'm doing fine, then everything's stable. Like, so I haven't really noticed anything different because I don't see anything different. I mean, I have problems reading small print. I mean, just so our viewers, our listeners know, I mean, I have a stand here. I have, when I'm doing our podcast, I have small print that's on there or icons. I can see them. I can't make out. I know that they're there. I can't see which one they are. If there's small print on there, I can't read. And from the distance I'm at, unless I blow it up. And so, as an example, somebody who could see something at 200 feet, I can see it at 20 feet.
Right.
Okay. So I'll put that in perspective for people. So when they say, yeah, but you seem to get around well, yeah, I can get around. I mean, and I'm fortunate for my eye condition because some people who have my eye condition have different severities of it. And I'm on the area where I'm very fortunate. I'm grateful in life. Like, I mean, and I mean, I don't really preach religious stuff, but I can say this, God, thank you. Like, thank you for,
I'm always very,
for being just for I mean, thank you for having keep my eye condition the way it is. And if it was different, that's just how life is. I adapt to it. I adapt to my surroundings, right? I mean, when we moved here, I had to adapt to my surroundings. Do I need to move? Yes, I need to move, and I need government to listen. So it's the same thing. Like, I adapt to my surroundings, but it is what it is. Your disability is who you are. It's what it is. It's not what you can and cannot do in life. And I think Tom Pogson, he talks a lot about this and his basic income stuff. It's what a person can do in their community. Like, what they can do. Is it work? Well, I mean, it's work. I mean, you're working, doing something in your community. You're going out. Maybe you're helping people. You're doing something. Yeah. You're providing a service. And Jeff does that too in his community. He helps seniors with tax forms. He helps them. Yeah. I mean, he just helps. He works, but he helps.
Well,
but he's not paid.
Let's get even more simple than that. Yeah. I know a lot of personally. I know a lot of people in the disability community where they're providing like very significant emotional support. I mean, it's going to sound like I'm just kind of throwing it out there just to throw it out there, but I'm saying, like, there's people out there that are able-bodied that for whatever reason have difficult lives. Like we always say that, if you have a disability, you have a difficult life, but there's a lot of people that are able-bodied that have really difficult lives. And I can tell you, I can count on my fingers lots of examples of, I mean, I've got friends myself that are able-bodied. Good.
11, everyone. So
I've got a lot of friends myself that really lean on hard that emotional support from me or somebody like me that has a disability. Like, I mean, because kind of, we've all kind of grown up with the school of hard knocks, right? So in some ways we're kind of have that emotional fortitude that maybe a lot of people with disability or people that are able-bodied, that don't have that, right?
Well, I have there's a lady in my building. She's in a motorized wheelchair, a scooter. I don't really see her around too often, but I know she lives in our building. But there's another person in our building that actually, she doesn't get paid. Like, the lady offers to pay her, and she says, no, you don't get enough on disability support. I'm actually doing it for free. I'm working for you for free to help you. And that's my point, is that a person can go and do things in their community. They don't have to be paid. And the government says, oh, it's a job. It's a job. Yeah, you want your supplement your income. You got to get a job to, because we raised income.
I'm doing a shitload on my Strata council right now.
Well, yeah, that's
I've been doing a shitload for like the last 4 or 5 years.
yeah, exactly.
I don't get paid for anything.
Exactly. And oh, we raised the earnings exemptions. Well, gee, like look what we did. We raised the earnings exemption. How about raise the rates to that too then? If
Yeah.
you're going to do that, raise the rates up to a livable amount. And I've mentioned before, there's former politicians who live in my community, and I talk to ever so often. One guy, I hope he's okay. I've mentioned before on the podcast, I used to see him around a lot more. I haven't seen him around for a little while. I hope he's okay. He's getting up in age. I'm sure he is. He just sometimes takes a break for a while and he gets back out. But I've talked to some other ones too that they basically they're disgusted with our government, Neil. I mean, they said there's no reason why our rates can't be up to a livable level. They said the government's just making excuses of not raising the rates. And I said, why? He goes, it's fiscal responsibility on basically they're juggling things around from ministry to ministry. He goes, your government has 13 ministries. They said, you got to be kidding me that they can't raise PWD rates and raise, child welfare. Like he said, there's the other ministry where it said children and family services, he called it. I said, right. He goes, then there's the education, all the cutbacks. He says, I mean, my gosh. I said, yeah, I remember when I was in school, we had portables. I didn't like them. I hated going to them because they were so cold. I mean, my God, I was bundled up like an Eskimo.
Yeah.
We go back into the main school. I'm like, yay, I'm back into the main school. But we had portables. We had lots of portables. Yeah. We had 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We had 4 portables out there. Why? Mm-hmm. Because classrooms were overloaded. Mm-hmm. Imagine. Now, classrooms are excessively overloaded with the amount of population here now. And again, the government blames government saying, oh, well, it's your fault underfunding it. Put the money into these systems. What the problem is that they're hiring and firing and hiring and firing right now. All the severance pays and this and that. All that money, it gets added up to billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. There's no accountability to anything. Look at all the mayors. I mean, the government had a probe department there about accountability. In 2019, apparently, Brad West had said they had that probe was pulled out. So there was no accountability to local mayors. And Brad West, as everybody knows, he's the mayor for Port Coquitlam. Very, very outspoken mayor. Thank you, Brad, for really exposing.
He really is one of the good guys that's really Brad, sticking his neck out all the time.
Brad, I'd love to have you come onto the podcast and let me know about housing in your community, about accessibility and housing. Because what Brad West has done in his community, and Brad West is not paid and sponsored us, everybody. I mean,
no,
I'm talking about him, but because I've met Brad West, he's a really awesome guy. I see him going places. I really do.
He's one of those straight shooters that will just like lay out the truth for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, he's done vacancy control in his community. I know some people say vacancy control, that's a bad thing. Way that the housing crisis is going right now, high market rents, and I can vouch for that. When you've got a corporate land manager or management saying, well, sky's the limit. How high will the rents go? Well, whatever people will afford to pay. I mean, if they're willing to pay high price, then we'll keep on jacking up the rent. Really? Well, people's incomes are not going higher. Again, that's why I'm looking. I want to see the RAP and the Safer program. I want to see PWD extended to that area, because really, otherwise your market rent just keeps going higher and higher and higher.
Well, let's bring this in for a landing. Like we're getting to the end of the show,
sure.
And you just touched on advocacy there a little bit, and the thing about advocacy is
it just pisses me off. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, but now I'm gonna lose my train of thought. Oh crap. I was going to make a good point where, well, you know how the government doesn't have to. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You know, the government doesn't have to fight for its transportation subsidy. Like they get their transportation subsidized on. I mean, they get a transportation allowance. They get a food allowance. They get their they get the rent allowance, and they should get all of that. They should get all of that. But they have don't have to really fight for anything, right?
Yeah, it's automatic.
It's just kind of automatic. It's just kind of there. They don't have to fight for anything.
Mhm.
And like for you and me, like for thousands others, daily,
Mhm.
it's like we have to fight for everything. And what I was gonna say is, you know, I think the governments are kind of depend on this kind of law of attrition. You know
Mhm.
that word attrition, where
Mhm.
it just kind of it's like a war term where you just eventually get just beaten down and worn out. Like
Mhm.
over time, you just get you just keep throwing shit at somebody. It's like you know
Yeah.
eventually they're just gonna say, you know what, I give up. And I think that's what government really depends on. You
Oh
know,
yeah, they hope that all
yeah.
the advocates across Canada will just shut they basically, and nothing against any advocacy groups or
No,
advocates, but yeah, governments just want PWD to shut up and then
no,
just
but like
yeah,
I
it's
like
just terrible.
like again for my example, like with the clawback. I mean, I've been fighting my clawback thing for 12 years now, and
Exactly, and I
and
mean same thing. Like they want you to kind of
yeah,
quiet down, Neil. No, no. I mean you're standing up for what you believe in, and I same as me. I stand up for what I believe in.
yeah,
I remember I remember there was in different town hall meetings. Right, I was at a town hall meeting, and I remember I had a couple MLAs back then, and different members of parliament and provincial, and this that, and some of them would say, "Oh, awesome, awesome, awesome advocacy, Brent." Like, yeah, yeah, like we hear you, like we understand that you want to see change happen. And then I'd get some of them, "Oh, quiet down." Like, yeah, yeah, if you
yeah,
keep pushing the narrative too much, people are just they're gonna block you out. They're gonna silence you out. I
yeah,
go, yeah, and I remember saying to John about that, right? John Horgan, I said, and well, no, no. What you don't need to do is not be silent, Brent. You need to,
yeah,
if you want to see change happen, advocacy happens when people advocate. Like
yeah.
changes happen. Sorry, changes happen when people advocate.
Hmm.
Sometimes successfully, the changes will happen right away. Other times it takes a little bit more extra work.
Yeah,
And he goes, we have members of he says of my own team, right? I said, yeah. And they are great advocates. Some of them are really good advocates in their community. They will push to see change happen. We're all advocates. He said, if you can believe that, we are. We're all advocates and we all push for change to happen. And I said, well, then why won't they raise rates? Because sometimes we just have to keep pushing to make it happen. Things should
hmm,
happen automatically. And I
hmm,
guess to end to the end of our podcast here is never. And this is a quote from our premier, who was our premier. I miss him every day. I think about John every day, and
hmm.
not a day goes by. I classify him
It
as
really is. It really is a
he was a
gaping
really
hole.
close friend.
It's a gaping hole that you notice every
It
day
is,
now. Yeah.
because I look at it as he encouraged me to really push myself to the limits as much as I can. But he said every so often you need to take a step back, like for yourself, Brent, mentally, physically, but don't give up. Like he said, it's like when you say slow down a bit, enjoy life, but at the same time keep pushing us. Don't give up. Keep pushing forward,
Hmm.
because he says that's what makes change happen. He says change for the better. He says, and I encourage everybody, if you believe in something, go for it, push for it. If that means that you want to run for office, provincial, federally, if you believe in your community, you believe that you want to see change happen, go for it, do it.
Hmm.
Um, I will say, I'm not going to say who. I had somebody, not just one person. I've had 5 people in my life at the time, periodically here and there, not on a personal friends level. Actually, I do have maybe two people who have told me, but three other people anyway, who had said, Brent, you should kind of maybe branch up to a little bit higher level. And I said, well, I don't know. Like, I look at that and I say, well, I enjoy doing what I do right now as advocacy. Because if I go up to too much higher level, then I may not affect that change that I'm trying to do right now,
You
and
might be compromised. Yeah.
holding politicians to account. I need to explore that avenue. I need to kind of look at that avenue and see if that change would still continue, or would I not be able to continue. Some people can still continue with that, but only to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And people are kind of read the riddles of what I'm saying, and no government's paid to tell me to say this. I've learned to read between the lines. When one thing is said one way, sometimes it means something else, but sometimes it is genuine. Yeah, you're probably thinking, oh, John Horgan must have told him a lot of these things. Well, he did tell me some of it, yes. But what he did tell me was never stand down to yourself. Always believe in yourself, and you'll reach for the stars. You'll get what you want, but you're going to have to work for it harder, meaning pushing. He said, and that means pushing our own government, Brent. I mean, don't be scared of our own government. I said, well, I was told one time, John, that to quiet down. Really? No, don't quiet down, he says, because then your voice is not being heard. You're not standing up for yourself. You're not standing up for fellow advocates. You're not standing up for the disability community. So when I hear people on social media saying, well, government won't make change anyway, so why should I bother? No. I say to you, don't stand down. Tell the government how you feel. You tell them how it impacts your life. Talk about your own lived experience, what you go through, how a positive change. And when I say positive change, this is how I'm going to end the podcast today. How a positive change, how the government can change the things, accessibility for you, increase your transit, increase your income support levels, how so many things, giving you clothing allowance, like giving you all the supports, your disability supports of equipment that you may need to change your life or help you with your life. It can make so many positive changes. So tell the government they can do these things. It's taken the initiative and that political will to make it happen. So I want to carry that voice forward and let people know that I'm here. You want to come on, talk about your lived experience stories with me, and share your stories, and let the politicians know that it's not okay as status quo going forward. We touched on this today about the war, about the tariffs, and there's like some kind of War Measures Act that I think Jagmeet Singh federal wants to put in place, but David Eby's not interested in that. Apparently, he wants people to support with income to support local businesses. Well, how are they going to support local businesses when they got no money?
Yeah.
I
don't like all the deflection that's going on. Well, don't talk about my record. Let's talk about Trump. Don't talk about my record, please. Let's talk about Trump.
Stuff happened before the tariffs. Yes, I'm saying tariff is not a good thing. Like, it's uncertain times that we're all going to be going through going forward. It's going to be tough times. So when I hear that from federal level, I know there's a federal election we're going to be having this year. I mean, when I hear from Mark Carney, and I hear from Pierre Poilievre and Jagmeet Singh, right? I hear the announcements. I want to hear, what are you going to do for persons with disabilities? How are you going to strengthen this Canada Disability Benefit and restore it back to its natural state that it was promised in 5 years ago, where it's going to let every single person with disabilities in this country out of poverty? Okay, it was promised. It was actually structured as equivalent to the GIS program, the seniors, the guaranteed income supplement. That's what it was structured for. That's how it was supposed to be done. I want to see that put back to that same criteria and automatically given to PWD on provincial level assistance, so that nobody in this country will live in legislated poverty. Give people no less than poverty level financial support, and then some. Like that's the most minimum. I say higher, but the most minimum. Let's get to that level so that people can actually have a dignified life.
And let's talk about advocacy again. And you know, I haven't sung very often in the podcast lately, but I was thinking about, you know, the Charlotte Diamond song. You know, inch by inch, row by row, gonna make my garden grow, gonna make it na na na. Whatever, you know, like it's like an inch by inch thing. You know, like you gotta fight for every little thing.
Oh, exactly.
And not let the attrition get you down. I mean, that's what government wants. It wants us all tired and beaten down and silent with no voices. But yeah, we got to keep our garden growing.
Got to keep on pushing forward,
inch by inch,
inch by inch, and fight by fight.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed.
And how about that? Finish him. That one.
Finish him. You know what I say to government? Just do it. Do it. Do it now. Right.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow.